Welcome to Casual Wednesdays for Fish Tuxedo. I'm Jonathan Downin, and you are...
I am Mike Feyrer.
And this is the show where we're going to sit here for the next 25 minutes, talk about some games we played, but mostly talk about the news from the week.
Yeah.
Because I have some inside info that you have played nothing.
Oh.
Is that correct?
Yeah, this is a secret I was going to withhold for this episode. Yeah, I haven't played much. Except for casino games, because I was at casinos.
Real life casino games. Not that's not you're not talking about like some Wii party collection or something, right?
Yeah, I was actually just sitting on the toilet playing casino games on my iPhone all weekend. It was great. It was a good time.
Man, that reminds me, like when the iPhone first came out and like the App Store just launched, I skipped the very first one, but I got it when the 3G came out, and the App Store launched, I think, right alongside the 3G. And like for like 2 months, I played nothing but the official Apple poker game that they put out.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that was probably awesome though at the time.
Yeah, it was great. Like it was amazing, but oh man, that was
I played some like Zynga poker on like Facebook and stuff. Never indulged on my iPhone though, you know, because.
But those dark days are over, and I've played some actual games this week.
Let's hear about them.
Believe it or not, last week. I talked a bit about Starbound. Everyone missed most of that because of our technical snafu. I kind of recapped it on that weird recap video thing I did where I talked to myself for like 10 minutes. That was weird. But yeah, I put 6 hours into Starbound last week, said I was probably done, and commenced to put another 6 hours in or more, like maybe 7 or 8 more.
Yeah.
That game's a real slow burn, but it's real good. It's if you have the patience for it, that loot grind is there and implemented. You just have to put the time in. But if you can put the time in, it's like Terraria, just on a larger scale. And I really dig that stuff. Like you go down into those mines, and you go down once, and if you can not die, you're going to be down there for like an hour each time. It's like going and getting lost in a Minecraft cave or something, just when you're going down for resources and stuff. And
are you digging it as much as Terraria and all that?
I don't know. I still feel like Terraria is the tighter experience. It's just a better game overall, but this isn't done yet. And like I went back and I was reading the blog for Starbound, and like they're scrapping like whole systems that are in there now and re-implementing them in completely different ways. Like the way you traverse the universe now, you have to like buy new star maps to get to different sectors. Apparently with the next big update, they're like removing the concept of sectors altogether. Like so that game is going to change in a big way.
That sounds kind of for the better, though.
Yeah, I think so. When
I had played the game, it was just you just toss fuel in there, and you were just like, go.
Yeah, it's still like that, I think. But yeah, it's a real weird thing, and real like even more so than Terraria. You have to go to that wiki and just research stuff like a madman. Like
well, it's because it's stuff that's not so obvious. You know, it's like there's a lot of machinery, and I remember when you. Like that section, that last mission, that last tutorial part where you have to make the beacon, you know, and you have to get all those pieces, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more obtuse than you know, draw an axe in Minecraft.
Right.
So.
And like when you go to that anvil, which you have to use to build that beacon, like that beacon's just a selectable thing in there that you can choose to build, but you would have no incentive to build it. You wouldn't know you had to build it to progress. You would just have to try to build everything in that list, and then when you built the beacon, you'd be like, "Oh, wow, something's happening here." So, and that's kind of that kind of sums up that whole game too. So, it's weird. I like it, and it's a testament to that game that I also picked up the Last of Us Remastered last week.
Oh. Okay.
And I put about 3 hours into that, probably 3 or 4 hours, like in the days right after getting it, and then I spent the days after that until now playing Starbound. So I was playing Starbound instead of The Last of Us. I don't know what that means exactly.
I was actually thinking about picking up The Last of Us Remastered, but I spent a lot of money this weekend. So, but
did you play the PS3 version?
I did for a couple hours, and then The Last of Us Remastered was announced, and I said, you know what? I'll put it on hold. And I actually traded it in quite a while ago. like once that announcement happened, because I was like, fuck it, I'll just buy it at full price whenever. Traded it in so I could pick up when I was picking up Watch Dogs for the PlayStation 4, because I really, because I figured I was going to buy it again anyway, and I just wanted to play something right now. On a new console. But that's so you played it for a couple hours. How does it look? How does it feel?
It looks really nice. It still looks like a really awesome looking PS3 game, though. Just a little stiff, and some of those surfaces are just a little flat, and it's just the culminations of stuff like that makes it feel like it's. So it's like it looks great, but I don't know.
It sounds like, and from what I've seen, it's like the texture quality is like incredibly insanely better than the PlayStation 3 version, which had a bit of complaints. Like as a whole, the picture, every picture looked incredible. But when you get up close, it looks a little muddy. And what it sounds like is with the remastered version, it has the up-res textures, and it looks just as good. I mean, the game looked fantastic on the PlayStation 3, but now it's like, there needs to be a little bit of tessellation on some textures and stuff like that. With things like that, like things that you expect when you have these high-res textures don't exist because of the framework that it was built upon. So, I'm still very interested to play it. I mean, how do the character models look? That's one thing that's hard to tell from video.
They look good, but again, it feels like last gen stuff. And I heard that they were using the models that were used in the cinematics in the PlayStation 3 version. I mean, I wouldn't know. I didn't play the PS3 version, so who knows? I guess that's probably true, but it still doesn't feel like. I don't know. It's just not quite there.
Yeah. Well, you've played the PS4, you have Infamous, right? Second Son.
Yeah.
So how would you say it stacks up compared to Infamous? Because that's a great looking game. Yeah, the characters are. The art in The Last of Us is better, but just the fidelity of the models, it's pretty different. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's interesting to hear, because I had heard a lot. I had just heard a lot of. I think it's because you already know what it is, and a lot of these people have played the game previously, that they were just glowing about how it looked. So that's interesting to hear. I can't wait to try it out for myself.
It's like in Infamous, like the animation in the face feels all fluid. It feels like the whole face is moving. Like in The Last of Us, it feels like there's less bones. You know what I mean? Like it's just a little more mechanical. In a weird way.
I mean, to be fair, Infamous looked goddamn incredible.
That's true.
Jesus Christ.
It's a high bar. Yeah.
There is one thing I did do. That was not video game related, but I definitely want to mention. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Yeah, that shit was awesome.
Oh man,
I was saying, watching that movie, it was really good. It was funny at parts, and it had its the high parts were the humor of any Iron Man movie and all that, and it had all those staples of these Marvel movies nowadays. But the real astonishing part was that I was watching a movie that had. One of the main characters was a goddamn raccoon.
Right.
And one of the other main characters was a goddamn tree person. And this is the crazy part, though.
Yeah.
I did not question it for a second.
That's awesome, man.
It was so convincing. I was blown away. It was casted expertly. That's the one thing that they do really well, is that movie is just so incredibly well casted. All those, Bradley Cooper as the raccoon, as Rocket, just so such a great performance by and I mean I think I've talked about this before. I'm usually super down on major actors doing VO because I think that's dumb. There are people whose job it is to do that because they're so good.
Yeah, you made a whole feature about that.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and this was so incredibly well casted. I could not even complain. It was
awesome, man. Yeah, I gotta go see it. All
right. Yeah, it was. You gotta. It's freaking awesome.
All right, and that's what we've been playing. Let's hit this news. Surprisingly big week in news, and a lot of it hits. I mean, it's, I guess, whatever. Big week in news. First up, Resident Evil Remastered. Yeah. This is a weird one. At least we're getting something out of Capcom. So the news on this is they are remaking the remake that came out for GameCube. So they did a GameCube remaster in 2000 what? 1?
It must have been 1 or 2.
something like that. Yeah, and that game looked awesome at the time. And actually, like I think it was on GAF maybe or somewhere I was seeing like they were comparing the newly released screenshots with the remastered ones from the GameCube. Yeah. That GameCube one still looks amazing.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I saw it, some dudes were like, hey, this is what it looks like running in Dolphin in high res, you know, in the emulation thing, Dolphin. And it looks amazing. Yeah. So I don't even know how much work they're going to be doing. And frankly, the screenshot they put out, one person went into Dolphin and like found the exact same part in that game and put it next to it. It looks really similar. Yeah. So this is a weird thing, man.
You know, it still boggles my mind that the you know, those GameCube and PlayStation 2 and Xbox era games are still hold up incredibly well graphically. A lot of them, anyway. The games with certain art styles, and it's you know, the graphical leap. The graphical leap between the 360 generation and now is just not so, you know, incredible.
Right.
But then even back then, it still really wasn't. It's just. I mean, you look at games like Wind Waker, you know, the big downfall is the fact that it was just running at a low resolution, you know, but the GameCube couldn't have helped that. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me that the game doesn't differ so much. I wonder, I mean, so they must have just not done that much. Like, this is not like a Wind Waker HD or a Last of Us Remastered. It
doesn't seem like it. From the screenshots they put out, I mean, they're running behind us here, so take a look for yourself. Yeah. But, like, they don't look that different from at least the Dolphin emulated versions of the GameCube release.
Yeah.
So
and I gotta say, man, I do not like this trend of when we're talking stuff like Resident Evil 1, you know, and this is a remaster of a remaster. It's just you expect a little bit more, you know. The Wind Waker HD. Even like that looked incredible. The stuff that they did with that, and there's Last of Us Remastered. I didn't have very high expectations for that. My main expectation was it better be in 60 frames per second, which it is. Yep. So that's whatever. But you know, and then you look at something like Oddworld New and Tasty. That is a completely remade game. You know, that is what a game should be when it is an HD re-release. I mean, okay. I don't know. I guess there should be a distinction then. HD re-releases, I guess that's like a compilation, and then there's like Oddworld New and Tasty is in and of itself just a
ground up remake.
Yeah, but that's what I want. And I will say I'm not about that $30 price point, and I'm still juggling in my mind whether or not I want to buy it because I really want to play it. But $30 is hard to swallow for that game. But at least
New and Tasty.
What's that?
You're talking about New and Tasty.
Yeah, $30 for Oddworld New and Tasty. That's a little pricey, but at the same time, I still don't know how much is this Resident Evil remaster going to cost.
I bet it's going to be full price, or I think $50 is what we should hope for.
Jeez, I mean I say what you will about this Oddworld New and Tasty, $30. I don't like it, but I will probably bite the bullet and buy it because there's a lot of care and love put into that remake. And there's this Resident Evil 1 looks like it's kind of getting shit out, you know. So
like this is their quintessential classic release.
I know.
Like this is the biggest game Capcom has probably ever done. Yeah. I think that's fair. And they should treat it with some serious respect. Yeah. Like they should do a ground up remake at this point. Like it's not cool to just be remastering the remaster.
that's an insult. You know, I don't know. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it.
But the problem is, I am such a sucker. I will probably buy this.
Yeah.
And that's why they are smart, I guess.
You know, I can't even say anything about that because there are certain games that I would do the same for. You know, I'm sure there are plenty of games that I'm not even thinking of that I would shell out $50 for.
I mean, the one thing that kind of makes me happy about this is that this opens the possibility that they would possibly do this with Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil 2 is an all-time classic for me. I would love to see that happen. So, I don't know, man. It's a weird thing, and I'm kind of bummed about it. But I don't know. We'll see. But also, real quick, this isn't on our list here to talk about, but Did you see that stuff on iOS for the iOS version of BioShock?
Okay, yeah, I was actually surprised it wasn't on here because that was along with this kind of deal too.
Yeah. So BioShock is coming to iOS only for iPhone 5, iPad 4 and up. Mm-hmm. So they are cutting out some of the lower-end devices there. Coming out sometime soon. They didn't say when. Yeah. Probably in the fall, I would guess. And this is being.
I think it might be even sooner than that because it was on like the.
Oh yeah.
It was on the list of Evolve being pushed back on that announcement. They had a calendar. I can't bring it up right now, but there was a calendar, and that was like one of the first things on that list was BioShock for the iPad.
Interesting.
So
okay. So anyway, relatively soon, being handled by the team that did the 2K or the XCOM iPad version, which
I think it's 2K China. I think they handled
2K China, right? And that went over pretty well, and you played it yourself. It was okay.
Yeah, I have issues with it, but overall it feels exactly like XCOM. Yeah.
Right. So it seems like a good team to be handling it. The problem is, I tweeted about this earlier today. AppSpy, which I follow, I'm subscribed to on YouTube. They do tons of videos for iOS stuff, mm-hmm. and they just put out a video comparing the Xbox 360 version to the iOS version. And when I just saw the iOS version like a couple days ago, when that news first came out, I was like, "Oh, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
That looks about like I remember." No, it's way different.
You know what?
It looks terrible.
BioShock is an incredibly well directed game from an art standpoint. That game, it looks incredible. Still, but that's my main thing is that, what are they going to cut out? How are they going to cut corners? Look, if they don't have all the licensed music in there that just created that tension and that atmosphere, just the music in the distance, and like if there's not like the water dripping down and there's not the shadows, and just there are so many things that the Xbox 360 is not the most capable machine anymore, but it was those consoles were what this was made for, and it's cool that we can do this now. It's definitely awesome that I can play this on an iPhone 5S if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But we are still not quite there where I can get that experience that I remember,
Like, the thing that kind of bums me out about this is, like, I wish they would have waited just, like, one more year or 2 more years where they could make it and create a faithful version. Yeah. Like, I think probably just as many people would buy it 2 years from now as would buy it now, I would think, because it's a classic title.
And I think it just also brings us to just I'm not sure why this is being made. To what you're saying, we can't replicate this game 1-to-1, and on top of that, this is just not an ideal platform for this. And I don't. But I know you like to play this kind of game, so maybe this is.
I do.
Maybe this interests you, and I would certainly buy this because I just want to try it out. But I'm not sure I totally understand it. This decision.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's lots of kids these days who have no problem with touchscreen on-screen controls. They're totally fine with it. I'm sure there's money to be made. That's why they're putting it out. But
exactly.
Anyway, this will come out. I think I've always been for studios trying these bigger releases or ports on iOS and mobile in general, and I still support it. I still am glad that this is happening.
Yeah.
So it's cool that it's coming out. I support it, but it's unfortunate when I saw that video and I was like, oh man, that doesn't look so great.
I mean, it just makes me really want to play BioShock again on a PC or something.
Right. Yeah. So, cool, that's happening. Let's jam through the rest of this. Assassin's Creed Rogue officially announced. This is the last-gen release for Assassin's Creed, now official and slated for November 11th release.
That's interesting. That CG trailer got a lot of negative reactions. I was okay with it.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of dumb, but game trailers are kind of dumb.
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially when they're CG. I mean, what can you expect?
Yeah.
My only qualm is that I will probably buy this for PS3 or 360, and then also buy Assassin's Creed Unity for the new consoles because I'm a dick.
Yeah, I am for sure getting Unity.
Yeah.
This game, it seems like they're leaning heavy on the ship-faring stuff again. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It did really well for them in Assassin's Creed 4. People like that stuff. I personally loved that stuff too. So it's not a surprise that they're leaning on that stuff more. It just seemed like a logical progression of the technology they had.
It's kind of a surprise that they didn't just decide to make Black Flag 2 just a separate game from... Because that's what a lot of speculation was going around, and I can't believe they didn't just say, you know what, screw this past generation, we'll just work for the next year or two to bring that stuff to the new consoles and then spin off a new franchise.
Yeah, this whole approach to the dual release is really strange to me altogether. I don't quite know why that would work out for them really well. I was just reading some commentary around the web about it, and one thing that I saw, I think it was on, man, what was it? Gamers US or something? What's that site?
I don't
know. Whatever.
Like
anyway,
Gama Sutra or something? Or?
No. It was a Kat Bailey piece.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyway, she pontificated that they could be doing this because there's still a bunch of people on the past gen. They still want to play Assassin's Creed, so they'll have this. Then they have this new release on the new consoles where they built up the technology where they don't have to make any compromises. So they have that for the future. And then, because of the way this works, 6 months into next year or something, they can be like, oh, here's the remastered version of what's this one called?
Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Here's the remastered version of Rogue.
That had not crossed my mind at all. That makes you know what, that does make sense. That makes
so they're getting everybody.
Yeah. And well, I will say, because that's the only thing that makes sense, because my first thought is, I'm more invested in this Assassin's Creed storyline than I would care to admit. But I cannot be the only one. There's got to be a bunch of people who are just bought a PlayStation 4, put their PlayStation 3 or Xbox in the closet, and like, God damn it, I got to dig it out again so I could play 2 Assassin's Creed games at the same time. So that makes sense. I'm whatever. I guess I will do it. Whatever.
So that's Assassin's Creed Rogue. We'll see what that is. Next up here, Evolve, the latest victim of the fall and winter release schedule. Being pushed to February. I don't really care about this game at all, so I don't really have any comments about this. But other than I would have said 3 major, or maybe 2 major delays ago, I would have said, oh, this is great for them because they'll be in a place where there's not that many games being released. But now that February's packed.
Yeah, and
so I
was
can't say this is great.
Yeah, I was thinking that for Evolve in particular, just with Destiny coming out a month or so ahead of that, maybe it gives just enough buffer time to be like, now we get a competitive game. And then there's Call of Duty coming out the month after that. It kind of puts it right in the perfect spot because Hardline was pushed out. So now we have this game in between 2 titans that is just this, I don't know. And now it's being pushed to February and whatever. I mean, I have a lot of faith in that team to do, those guys over at the, what are they called? The
Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock. I was going to say Black Rock. That's a different studio. But Turtle Rock, I'm interested to see what they do. I'm kind of in your camp. I'm not terribly interested in this concept, but at the same time, I was not that interested in Destiny before the beta.
Right.
So I think
it looks amazing. It looks great. It looks amazingly produced. It looks like a quality product. It's just not a genre that I really care about. I'm not a competitive shooter guy, so just not up my alley. But I don't know. Battlefield, is that not also? Did they give a month at all, or
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it's early next year though.
Yeah, they're probably going to be pretty close.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, but this is the type of game that if it needs more fine tuning, it's if they want to get competitive and be technical and stuff like that, and really get in that esports arena or whatever they're really trying to push for, fine, take the extra time. I'm okay
for sure. I always support delays.
Absolutely.
I think that's good. Also, PlayStation Now is now available to everyone, technically in beta, but it's right there in the menu. You go to the PlayStation Store, it's right there front and center. So they're not trying to like keep people from knowing it's there. Yeah. It's not a selective beta. It's just there.
Yeah, and I know what there's a lot of hubbub going around about this. The pricing. I'll be honest, I haven't looked at it. I've just heard the pricing from podcasts and stuff like that, other people talking about it. And then I hear these people saying, "Oh, I don't understand why everybody's complaining about the pricing. It's just in beta, blah, blah, blah." Like everybody's so critical. Sony's already said that these prices aren't going to be, forever. And I'm like, well, then it shouldn't be on the fucking front page of the, PlayStation Store. If Sony's like, please don't be critical, we don't know how this is going to play out, then make it free. Because then we can test the service and then be like, okay, well, now I understand this must be an expensive service. Maybe it does, maybe it does warrant $2.99 for 4 hours. So
yeah, I think we are going to see the prices change slightly. I think what's there now is probably pretty close to what's going to be there ultimately when it's in full release, whatever that means. But I don't know. I think people don't really consider what this service is a little bit at times. Yeah. Like, it's a pretty convenient thing. Like, there's not much out there like it, and you can play PlayStation 3 games without owning a PlayStation 3. Yeah. Like, yeah, maybe prices are a little high compared to what you're used to, like, for your streaming video services and stuff like this, but I don't know. It seems okay. Mm-hmm. It's not egregiously terrible, I don't think.
There are certain... I didn't look for myself, like I said. I just heard this from other people. And from what I've heard, there are some things that sound a little bit more ridiculous than others.
There certainly are.
But, and it's like, for games that you could order on Amazon for approximately the same price as you could rent them for a few days, that's a little ridiculous. But to be fair, I was never going to use this service because I don't think I could rely on that service for a reasonable, frame rate or any reasonable type of I think there'd be too much discernible lag to play, but I haven't tried it for myself.
I don't know. Like I didn't try it myself, but I was watching the Giant Bomb guys play it on Professional Fridays and heard a couple other anecdotal stories about it, and everyone said they almost couldn't tell that it wasn't local.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and they were playing like on Professional Fridays. They were playing like what was it? That fighting game, Dead or Alive 5.
Wow.
So they were playing a fighting game, and they were like, I can't tell.
Yeah, and that is a notably very crisp, very fast fighting game. It's I'll have to.
So technically, it seems like the service is in order.
Okay. I'll have to try it. I have my PlayStation is wireless, so you'll get the ultimate test. But
right.
I'll have to give it a shot then. But
yeah, I will too.
We should wrap this up. Wrap this puppy
up.
Yeah,
let's finish this out. Mm-hmm. We are beyond our 25-minute mark. So that's it for this week. As always, check out the features, quick hits, all that good stuff, and like the videos. That helps a lot.
Oh yeah, it does.
Here we are on YouTube saying to like our videos. Welcome. Welcome to the internet. But it really does make a difference, so please, if you can take a second and you're willing, please do hit that like button, and we will see you here next week on Unprofessional Fridays. Later.
Or Casual Wednesdays.
Right! Casual Wednesdays. Unprofessional Fridays is not our show.
We're biting Giant Bomb now. Oh.
Not our show. Casual Wednesdays. All right. See ya.
I'll take it. Later.
Bye.